Okay, 1 through 8 is giving you the practice of putting an exponent into your calculators. Okay, all we're going to do is substitute in the value 6 wherever you see an x. Now, it so happens 1 through 8, our x is our exponent. So I'm just going to substitute in 6 wherever I see an x. So just kind of get used to your calculator, putting exponents in. Everybody know how to raise to any power? Okay, I have 7 times, please use parentheses, raised is this caret key, sergeant stripe, half a sergeant's corporal stripe. Press that, that means raised, and this time I'm going to put 6 in for x. And hit enter. Oh, and how about now?
There you go.
Okay, so 7 times 2 raised to the 6. Make sure you use parentheses because we want the calculator to work in certain order. So this equals 448. Okay, what about number 3? $5.4 times 1.2 raised to the 6th. I get 60. Now it says to round to the nearest tenth, or the first digit after the decimal point. So my value is 2 in the hundredths position, so I'm going to use 16.1. Okay. That's all you're doing 1 through 8. Little practice with the exponents on the calculator. Because we are going to start with growth. Okay. Here's a formula for growth. The value equals P times 1 plus the interest raised to the time. So, let's make sure we define these. T years, that's our time. Makes sense to use T, that's time. Initial deposit, we're going to do a lot with interest rates first, then they'll apply it to other things. So, initial deposit, well, what does that mean? That's the deposit you start with, okay? So starting deposit is P. Okay? And it's going to be compounded at an interest rate, and they use the little letter I. So I is the interest rate. Now, they're going to give us the interest rate in percentages more than likely, 99% of the time. Okay? Does everybody remember how to put a percentage into their calculators? Because on their scientific calculator, you don't have a percent key. What's 4%? The first one. How do I put that in a calculator? Right, your decimal point's after the 4. So you're going to move it 2 places to the left. There's a spot there, so it's 0.04. Okay, move your decimal place 2 places to the left. And it works for if you want to change a decimal to a percentage. Move the decimal place to the right 2 places. There's no tricky ones, I don't think, for quite a while here. 0.3. Sometimes you get like 7.5%, or so. I'll show you that when we come to it. So, you guys ready to put all this into a calculator? I like writing out the formula and then putting it into the calculator. So the value, V, is going to equal my initial deposit, $500. P is 500. Times the quantity, 1 plus my interest rate, which is 0.04 or 4%, and my T, raise that quantity to the T, is going to be 8. Now I have to put that into the calculator. Okay? And you guys are all used to putting this into the calculator now, right? So, 500, parenthesis, 1 plus 0.04, close the parenthesis, raise, use a caret key, and this time we're raising it to the 8th. If you don't put parentheses in there, you're going to get the wrong answer. Hit enter. I have, now we're dealing with money, so how many decimal points should we go at? Yeah, 2, right, for cents. So I have $684, and this is a 4, so I'm going to use the 8, so and 28 cents. And right now, I'm not caring about labels or anything. If you want to put the $sign there, wonderful. Now, step back for a sec. I want you to look at the answer and just think, hey, does this make some kind of sense? Because I have students that will come out with negative numbers or like $3 million. Well, if you start out with $500, you did something wrong if you get a number like that, right? For 8 years, $684, that seems reasonable. Make sure your answers are reasonable. Not unreasonable, like I'm going to make 80 grand when I graduate high school and get a job. That's unreasonable. All right? This is reasonable. Number 2, or 10. The value equals the initial principal, which is $2,500, times 1 plus my interest rate, 3%. Change it to a decimal. Move it over 2 places. 0.03 raised to the 10th. Put all that in your calculameters. And I get 33.59, and I'm going to cut it off after 2 decimal places. The third decimal is a 0, so I'm just going to leave it at 79. 3359.79. I started with $2,500, 10 years, $3,300. Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, let's do one more. Let's do 14. See, the value is going to equal initial investment, 2,000, times 1 plus, what's my decimal? 0.07, good. And my time raised to the 14th. Should be a pretty big number because 14 years is quite a bit. It's like half my pension. If it's there. Which is doubtful. Unless we get a new governor. 2,000. Well, that is really blurry. here. 2,000 parenthesis 1 plus 0.07 raised to the 14th, and I get 5157. Oh, now my third digit's 8, so I'm going to round the 6 up to a 7. $5,157. So I more than double my money. Now, that's the kind of money that we get for our pensions. The kind of money you have to pay for credit cards is a little different because it's more. It's what's called compound interest. And that formula is, now they used function notation. They use A of t, but the piece and all the other stuff is, the same, except there's one more time thing, and I'll talk about that. So the P is the principal or initial amount. So P is the same. Okay. R is the annual interest rate, so instead of I, they're using R. So this time, instead of I, they're using R. And then we have a new variable, N. Now, this new variable is not T, okay? T was the time in years, and it still is. T is the time in years. But we have a new variable, that N. N is the number of times interest is compounded each year. Okay. I know credit cards used to do it every day. They used to compound interest for you just to get that money from you. But I think one of the presidents did away with that. Now I think they have to do it monthly. All right, number 10. Let's figure out what our variables are. $1,000. So that's our initial investment, right? Our initial principal. That's our P. 1,000. 4.5%. Well, we used to use I, but now we're using R, right? So that's our R. And we're going to move that decimal place over how many times? To the left twice. So I'm going to have a 0.045. Compounded annually. So if I compound annually, how many times a year is annually? Once, right? So my N equals 1 annually for 5 years. And the years is going to be my T. So T equals 5. All right, so we use our we'll use their same notation. A of T equals my principal, my P, which is 1,000, times, I'm just putting it in the formula here, parenthesis 1 plus my R, which is 0.045, divided by my N, which is 1, raised to the N, which is 1, times t, which is 5. Okay, so there's a lot going on with compounded interest. You have to put it in the calculator just like this. Otherwise, you'll get the wrong answer. Now, with the old calculators, we had to put the fraction in parentheses also, but you don't need to with these 84s. So, I have 1,000, parenthesis, 1 plus 0.045 divided by 1, parenthesis, raised. Now this you have to do. You have to put parenthesis 1 times 5. If you don't put that exponent in parentheses, you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay, hit enter, and you should get 1246.18. Step back. Does it make sense? Let's see. I started at 1,000, 4.5. Yeah, 1,200 makes sense. Let's do another one. How about number 12? Okay, $2,300 is my P. My rate or interest rate, I like to call it interest rate, covers both I and R, is 8%. So what's my rate? As a decimal. 0.08. Compounded daily. How many days in a year? 365. So my N equals 365. And my 7 is my T. All right. Let's put it in our little formula. A of T equals my P is 2,300. Parenthesis 1 plus my rate, well, I'm going to use this one, 0.08 divided by my N, which is 365, raised to the T, which is 7. All I have to do is be careful and put it in my calculator. 2,300, parenthesis, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 365, parenthesis, raised, oh, I missed something. This should be 7 times 365, right, to the NT. Raised to the parenthesis 7 times 365, close the parenthesis, hit enter, and I'm going to end up paying $4,026, and I'm going to have to round this up now to 30. Step back, does it make sense? Well, yeah, at 8% daily rate. Yeah, I got to pay almost twice as much as I borrowed. Yeah. Yeah, don't ever borrow against paychecks. You're better off to go to a loan shark. Except they do bust your kneecaps. You know, I don't like 15. Don't worry about 15. Which means you don't have to worry about 16. I don't like the way those things are set up. Why don't we go through number 17? Try number 17. If you can't get it, don't worry about it. I'll go over it tomorrow in class. But the ones I didn't do, you should be able to do. Okay? Stop at 17. So that's your practice work for today. So your practice work is going to be 1 through 17, except 15 and 16. Okay?